to Microsoft Excel. I'm John Allen. Today we are going to go through Microsoft Excel using data, and specifically we're going to go through the auto filter button and how you can use that to filter and to sort. I'm going to be following along with the cheat sheet that you can find on the website. So let's look at this first item. Before you do any sorting or moving of data, always use play data. Have a master file and then have another file that if you mess up, it's not going to ruin your file. I just found a data file on the web and copied and pasted it into this spreadsheet. And as you can see, it's got several columns on it, and it's got 44 lines to it. So if this was my master sheet, I'm going to right click and rename. I'm going to call that master. And then I want to do some sorting and filtering and looking at it. And especially if I'm not very good at Excel, I want to make a copy of this. So my favorite way of making a copy is to go right click on the tab, move or copy, and then I click on create a copy and click OK. And now I'm going to do another right mouse click, rename, and I'm going to call this play. So I've got my play data. Anytime that I get a new spreadsheet, I like just having one row for headers. I don't like putting a big title on there and merging cells, and I would rather make my title down here with the tabs. So a couple things that I do is I'm going to go to View and I'm going to go to Freeze Panes. And let's take a look at some of the freeze panes. Because this is a longer spreadsheet, I want my top row to lock, meaning stay stationary, and so when I scroll up I can still see my headers. So under View, Freeze Panes, I can do Freeze Panes, Freeze Top Row, or Freeze First Column. Now, with this one, I'll just do Freeze Top Row. Now, if you look right here, the line between 1 and 2 is darker. And now the freeze pane is on. I'm going to go to Unfreeze Panes. And if I go ahead and go on line 2, then it will freeze everything above. So I will go to Freeze Panes, and that also happened. I could freeze the first column, and then if I scroll left to right, then it would freeze. I'm going to unfreeze panes. And if I go into 2B, I click on this cell, everything to the left will freeze, everything above will freeze. And if I just do freeze panes, then I've got column A locked, and I've got row 1 locked. I'm going to unfreeze panes one more time and go ahead and do freeze panes. Up on top on the quick access toolbar, I have added freeze panes. Once again, to do that is I right click and I go to add to quick access toolbar. And so a lot of times View is a funny place to find freeze panes. So I always, as soon as I get a new computer, I go ahead and put freeze panes up on my quick access toolbar. The other one I put on the quick access toolbar is my filter. So I'm going to click on row 1 and I'm going to go to data and I'm going to go to the filter. Back in the olden days they called it the auto filter. Auto filter means that wherever there's some data, it's going to go ahead and put one of these pop down arrows on it. Just wanted A, B, and C and put the filter on there. I selected those. But if I filter this, then this group here will not filter with it. So you would have to have a good reason for not wanting the filter on all of them. I'm going to take that off, click on row 1, and put it on again. This filter becomes very handy let's make sure we define the difference between filters and sorting. Filter means that I'm going to filter out some of the data, some of the lines. Sorting is all the lines stay present, but then I just get it in a different order. So on this data set, we've got region, rep, and item. So if I wanted to look at just pencils, I click on the pop down and then I go to select all. So I'll do select all and uncheck select all and then click on pencil and click OK. Just the pencils show up. I'm going to clear that. There's a couple ways to clear that. One is to click on the pop down again and I can go ahead and click on select all and click OK. Another way would be, I'll just hit undo. Another way would be to clear filter from item. So I can pop down and click on there. So the good thing about this filter is that you can also have more than one filter. So I could go back in here and say I want to know how many from just the West sold pencils. So I already had just pencils selected, and then I went to West, and then I can see 2 people sold pencils. If I wanted to do that for the East, I could click on East, and I've still got this one activated. So I can see if I've got a filter because I see the funnel there, and I see the funnel on this one. If you've got more than one filter, another way to clear the filter is to hit clear, and that's on data and clear, and I actually have that on my quick access toolbar because I use that all the time. I like to just clear and start all over because you never know when you still got a filter on. So that is different than sorting. So sorting would be high to low. So let's say that we want to know what was the biggest order on here. Now as soon as I sort this, I may not be able to get back to my original order. Now granted, it looks like this data set was by date. Okay, so if I do have an original sort order and I want to get back to it, then that's what I want to, then I'm okay with using the sort order. But I am going to just do a right mouse click. I'm going to insert something and I'm going to say or original. Okay, and I'm going to do 1, 2, and I've learned that you can actually double click on the fill handle and that will go ahead and fill it in. Now if you notice one thing about this, I went and put it on the edge and I don't have a filter button on that. And so that's one of my problems with doing filters, is that if I add data on the left or on the right, this auto filter is not going to just magically appear. So I've clicked on row 1. I'm going to take off the filter and put the filter back on. So now if I do some sorting, then I can get back to this original order quite easily. So let's go back to sorting. And we said, let's see the biggest orders to smallest. So if I click on the pop down, I've got largest to smallest, smallest to largest, Z to A. Up here is A to Z. So I'm going to go largest to smallest. And as I go down, we can see that Gil had a $9 order, and there was an $18.79 order up here at the top. If I wanted to go back to my original list, I could sort smallest to largest, and that probably also is the same as the date. If I wanted to sort it by region, I could. So I click on region and I'll sort A to Z. But let's say that that I like my geography. I want east to be first, then I want central, and then I want west. Because right now this is taking it alphabetical. C is before E and W is after. I might have to manipulate my header on here to maybe call it a 1 dot east, and central I could put it 2. When you set up your labels, you might think in terms of how is that going to affect you alphabetically. And so now that I've got it 1, 2, and 3, let's see if I can get it in this right order that I want. So I went and clicked on sort A to Z, and I've got east going first, then central, then the west. What happens if I want it sorted by item, then by rep? If you can think backwards, you can actually do these in backwards order and you can get it. If I want it by item, then by rep, I go backwards and go by rep and then by item. And then I can see the item and then I can see it by rep alphabetically. But that is kind of confusing sometimes for your brain. So I'm going to go ahead and do an easier way of doing that. I'm going to go ahead and select A to H, and then I'm going to go to the Data tab, and I'm going to click on Sort. Over here, Excel was smart enough to know that my data has headers, and it checked that box. Not all the time is that box checked, but go ahead and check that right off the bat. So my first level of criteria, what do I want to be the overall sort? Is I want that to be item. And then I can go here to add level, and then we said that we want it by rep, and then let's say that we want it by total, and smallest to largest, I want it largest to smallest. And so we've got all the binder ones, and then we've got it by alphabetical by first name, and then we've got it by high to low. So Jardine's large order was before his $54 order. And I can go back and change this, go back to sort and say, actually I want total to be first. I have to click on somewhere on that line, and then I can move them up. So now it's going to be by high. Actually, let's move it down one. So we want it by item first, then by total, and then it can be by rep. So when it comes to binders, Jardine had the highest order. When it comes to desk, then we had Servio had the highest order. And so those are some ways that you can do a sort. Remember to select all the columns that you wanted to go with it. Okay. A couple things that sometimes break a sort is empty columns or rows. If I were to go in here, and it may not do this now because we started originally with everything in here, but with data in all these, and then you've just added in between, if you had a completely empty row, sometimes these auto filters will break right there and will not go all the way down. So you have to be careful with that. Let's go over to our cheat sheet, review what we've learned. I reviewed the freeze panes. Whenever I get a new file, the first thing I do is put a freeze pane on and put the auto filter on. So we reviewed how to use the filter buttons, A to Z or Z to A, and large to smallest, and how to use the select all button. We talked about some of the problems, especially when we added a column A. I showed you how that would break the sort. We saw if the filter was in place, so I showed you the picture of the funnel. And if you've got a sort in place, then it'll have an arrow on there. We showed you how to do one or more filter. I'll talk about that in just a little bit, how to eliminate all the data. We showed you how to do a sort with 2 or more criteria, how we go to the Data and Sort button, and then we can change our filtering to sort just one column. We showed you how to do that, how to just use the sort A to Z or Z to A. Sort by filter or color, we'll go over that, and counting during the filter, we'll go over that. Let's say that we want to know how much did we bring in on binders. And so I'm going to go ahead and select, and down here I can see average, count, and sum. So with selecting this, I can see it counts that there was 15 orders. The sum would be $9,577.65, and I can see that the average was $638.51. And so that's a kind of a handy way of being able to count or sum. Let me show you another way. Let's say if we want to know how much money was brought in on binders, I'll go ahead and click Select All and click Binders. Down here I can see that there was 15 orders. So it counts it for me, and then if I click on just H, then I've got my sum again down here. So if I want to know how many desk orders did we have, I don't even have to click on anything. I can look down here. I see 3 desk orders. If I come over on this side, I see 4 desk orders because it counts the header row. And so you have to be careful about when is it counting a header row and when is it not. When I originally selected the rows that were not header rows, and so that gave me the correct number. Down here on the records, it usually doesn't count the header row for you. But where I clicked on the whole thing that included row 1, then it did give me the count that way. I went over how to manipulate your data by changing your labels. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take off my filter and click Clear. And let's say that I just want to look at East. And I'm going to give that a color. Colors can be quite handy because sometimes you've got some things going on that you need more than just an A to Z or a 1, 2, 3. So let's say that I didn't put a 1 on there on East, and I absolutely wanted East to be my first criteria, and I didn't change, the 1 and the 2 and the 3. So I'm going to go ahead and do sort by color, and I want my blue to come to the top. We can also use colors to filter by. So if I go up to the filter button and then go filter by color, I can do the color, or I could do no fill. The last part that I wanted to show you was how to eliminate some data. So let's say that all I wanted to do was keep the West. Okay, I am the regional manager for West. I don't want to see East. I don't want to see Central. Okay, so there's a couple ways of doing this. One is that if I click on West, I would say, okay, I'm going to send that to the manager in the West, but all the manager in the West has to do is come here and click on it, and the data is really there. Just because you've filtered it out doesn't mean that that is unaccessible. So that doesn't work. Or I could come and I could select the ones I want to delete, right click delete, and then do a save as. And that works really good as long as you've got a list that's reasonable and it won't take you that long to select it. My favorite way is to click on West. So it's kind of like the bowling alley. The bowling alley, after you roll your first ball, the bowling alley picks up the pins that you want to keep, that you didn't knock down, and then it takes everything out that you don't want, and then it puts it back down. So I am going to be my bowling alley. I'm going to filter out West, and then I can go down to the bottom, and I'm going to go right click delete row. When you're deleting stuff, it's much better to select the row header and end up doing the right mouse click delete row. And then I come back and hit clear. So now I've only got the data that I want. I'll go ahead and click undo and get my original back. In one of my previous shows, I talked about hotkeys. Okay, I've got West filtered. And if I click on the very first row, and if I hit Shift Control End, that goes to the very end. And then if I hit Shift Spacebar, it highlights the row header. And then I can do right click, delete row, and then I'll do a clear, and I can do Control Home, and that will take me to the top. And then I'd go in and do a file save as and close that, and then bring up our original file. Going back to the cheat sheet, we have shown you how to sort and or filter by a color, and we have also shown you how to do counting or addition or averaging by looking at the lower left-hand corner and the lower right-hand corner for items that we have filtered or if we've selected it. Also in the cheat sheet, I'm going to have a breaking up data tab, and that shows you some of the shortcuts on how to break up the data. If you're going to give certain people part of the spreadsheet and you don't want them to see other pieces, this is a streamlined way of breaking up the data. It is a little bit complicated, but that's why we do cheat sheets. Thank you for watching Excel Data.